Hi, this is Ollie from ODDSound, and in this video I am going to talk about a feature that we've added to MTS-ESP as of version 1.04 of the MTS-ESP suite and 1.03 of MTS-ESP Mini. That feature is IPC Support. IPC stands for Inter-Process Communication, and I'm going to explain what it is and give you a couple of reasons as to why it may be useful. I'm also going to show how you can disable it and show a couple of reasons why you might want to do that. So a process is a set of instructions running on your computer. You can think of this as a computer program such as your DAW. In reality, a program might use more than one process, but the key concept that we want to understand here is that if a process crashes, something goes wrong, unless it's something really bad, it will crash that process, but it won't crash other processes. So for example, if your DAW crashes, it shouldn't cause your web browser to crash at the same time. So something key here is that processes don't usually share resources, and we can use MTS-ESP as an example of that. MTS-ESP uses a single frequency table which all plugins can connect and share. But with different processes, each process will get its own frequency table. Up until now, that is. With IPC support, there will be a single global frequency table, and this can be shared by all processes and applications running on your computer. So now we can get on to the first reason why you might want IPC support, and that is that some hosts allow you to run plugins in separate processes. These include Bitwig, FL Studio, Reaper, and Waveform. And this may be called sandboxing or bridging, depending on the terminology that the host uses, but it's the same idea. So this is beneficial because if a plugin crashes, it just kills the process that plugin is running in. It doesn't crash your DAW, and often you'll just get an option to be able to load that single plugin again. I'm not advising that you run plugins all in separate processes because this does increase system resources usage. So, for example, in Bitwig here, a better option might be to run all plugins together in the same process, but it allows you here for any ones that may be particularly troublesome to run those selectively in individual processes. With IPC support, if you have plugin sandboxing or bridging configured in your DAW, MTS-ESP connection will still work, and those plugins will still be able to get the tuning data from the global frequency table. A second reason why you might find IPC support useful is that it works across applications. So here, as an example, I have MTS-ESP master loaded into Bitwig to control tuning, but I'm also sending MIDI data out via the IAC driver and into VCV Rack, which is running as a standalone separate application. But the MTS-ESP MIDI to CV module in here is connected to the MTS-ESP master in Bitwig and receiving tuning data from it, so that when I send MIDI data, we will hear that the oscillator here is being retuned according to the scale selected in Bitwig. So as I've mentioned, MTS-ESP has a single global frequency table, and you can only connect one master plugin at a time to the MTS-ESP system, and that master plugin is in control of that frequency table. If you try to instance another master, you will get an error message just like this. The reason for only allowing a single master plugin to control one global frequency table is that it makes integration of MTS-ESP into existing plugins much simpler, and at the moment we want maximal integration. However, in the future, it may well be possible to support multiple masters. There is a workaround for this, which I will come back to very shortly. First, I quickly want to talk about what happens when the process in which the master plugin is running crashes, because in this case, it doesn't get a chance to deregister itself with the MTS-ESP system. We can emulate this by force quitting the application. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. So I have now reopened Bitwig and reloaded that session, open the MTS-ESP master, and I see that same error message again earlier. This is because the MTS-ESP system still thinks that there is a master plugin instance somewhere on the computer. So in this case, we can reinitialize MTS-ESP, which will reset the MTS-ESP system to its default state, allowing the master plugin to register itself again. It's very important that you only ever click this if you're absolutely sure that there is no master plugin instanced in any other application on your computer. After doing this, you will notice that it resets the connected client count. So even though we have an instance of Serum in this session and it is connected via MTS-ESP, we won't see the connection here until we completely reload this session. So it's possible to disable IPC support, and one reason you might want to do this is if your DAW is not configured to run plugins in separate processes, or indeed if it just can't. And if you're getting a lot of crashes, if you disable IPC support, then when you reload your DAW every time after a crash, you won't have to go through the process of reinitializing MTS-ESP. To disable IPC support, we need to locate the MTS-ESP configuration file. On macOS, this will be located at Library Application Support MTS-ESP, and there it is. On Windows, it will be located in Program Files, Common Files, MTS-ESP, and we can just open this in a text editor. And there we can see this last line, IPC support equals 1. If we change that to 0, save the file, and now we need to restart. Any programs using MTS-ESP and IPC support will be disabled. I alluded to another reason earlier why you might want to disable IPC support, and that is to have multiple instances of MTS-ESP master. Now, some plugins can load other plugins into them. In other words, they're hoster plugins. Some examples of those are Freestyle by New Sonic Arts, Bidule by Plogue, and this one you can see here, Patchwork by Blue Cat Audio. And they allow you to save a complex plugin routing setup in a single plugin instance. If your DAW supports plugin sandboxing, and if MTS-ESP IPC support is disabled, then you can run each instance of the hoster plugin in a separate process and therefore load an instance of MTS-ESP master into each one and have a separate tuning for any MTS-ESP clients that are also loaded into those hoster plugins. So, quick example here, I have an instance of MTS-ESP master and Serum loaded into two instances of Patchwork, and you can hear that they are playing different scales. So hopefully that's explained to you what's going on with IPC support. It may be that you never need to care about it. It may be that you might find what is in here useful. If there are any questions, pop them in the comments below and I will do my best to answer. Thanks for watching.